Skip a few meals and the internet promises you the world. Fat loss, longer life, a reset for your cells. Some of that has real science behind it. Some of it is wishful thinking dressed up in a lab coat. And a few of these claims can genuinely land people in the hospital. Here's the strange truth about fasting. The exact same tool can help one person and hurt another. It all comes down to their age, their health, and how they actually do it. That's what makes fasting interesting, and that's what makes it risky. So today, no hype and no fear-mongering. We're going to walk through what fasting actually does, what it might do, what's almost certainly nonsense, and where the real danger hides, because it's usually not where people think. Most people brace for the fast itself, but the riskiest moment isn't the hours without food, it's what you do next. So stick with me, because the most dangerous moment of a fast is the one almost nobody talks about, and it comes right near the end. Let's define it plainly. Fasting just means choosing not to eat for a set period. Sometimes that's the normal overnight gap between dinner and breakfast. Sometimes it's structured, like intermittent fasting, where you eat in a shorter window and fast the rest of the day. You'll hear names like 16-8, 24-hour, 48-hour, even longer fasts up to around 100 hours. During the fast, most people just drink water. Some add plain tea or black coffee. The main idea is simple. Fasting limits when food comes in, which can make it easier to eat less without counting every bite. But here's the catch. Fasting doesn't cancel out food quality. Fast all morning, then break it with sweets, alcohol, and a giant processed dinner? The window isn't doing magic. The clock matters. But what happens when the clock ends matters just as much. And this is exactly where the internet lost the plot. May help became guaranteed cure. Early evidence became secret anti-aging hack. Cell repair became live forever. Here's the honest version. Fasting has real potential, but potential isn't proof, and proof in mice isn't proof in humans. Fasting deserves a serious conversation. It doesn't need fairy dust. Let's start simple. Fasting just means going without food for a set period on purpose. You drink water, you skip meals for hours or sometimes days, and you decide when it starts and stops. That's the whole idea. Now, people love to say, fasting is just starving yourself. That's wrong, and the difference matters. Fasting is controlled. You've got body fat to burn, you know when your next meal is coming, and you can stop anytime. Starvation is the opposite. The body's out of options with no idea when food returns. One is a choice with an exit door. The other is a crisis with no exit at all. Think about it. A healthy adult skipping breakfast is nothing like a frail person barely eating for 10 days. Your body handles short gaps fine. It burns stored sugar first, then shifts to fat. But that adaptation has limits. The longer the fast, the higher the risks. Past 5 days, or 100 hours, fasting stops being a lifestyle choice and becomes a medical stress, one that needs supervision. So no, not every fast is dangerous, but pretending every fast is harmless? That's wrong too. Fasting got popular fast, but popular isn't the same as proven, and the hype dragged a lot of myths along with it. Let's clear out 5. Myth 1. Fasting detoxes you. It doesn't. Your liver, kidneys, and gut already handle that every single day. You don't need to starve to clean house. Myth 2. Fasting melts fat all by itself. Not really. Fat loss still comes down to eating less over time. If fasting helps you do that, great. If it leads to overeating later, it won't. Myth 3. Skipping breakfast wrecks your metabolism. For most healthy adults, it simply doesn't. Myth 4. Fasting guarantees autophagy, that cellular recycling everyone hypes. It's real, but the human evidence is thin. You can't say, I fasted 18 hours, so it happened. Myth 5. Feeling terrible means it's working. Usually it just means dehydration, low blood sugar, or a bad plan. Pain is not proof of progress. And longer isn't always better, remember that. It comes back later. Let's sort every fasting claim into 3 honest buckets. Bucket 1. What works? Fasting as a structure. For some people, it genuinely helps them eat less, cut the late-night snacking, and lose weight. In certain people, it may also nudge markers like blood sugar, triglycerides, or blood pressure in the right direction. That's the strongest, most honest case for fasting. It works best when your eating windows include real food, enough protein, fiber, water, and reasonable portions. Bucket 2. What might work? Longer fasts, the cell cleanup effects, and fasting for specific medical conditions. These are genuinely promising and worth studying, but the human evidence is still thin, so treat them as maybe, not proven. Bucket 3. What's probably hype? Guaranteed anti-aging, magic detox, miracle fat burning, $1,000 retreats promising to change your life. Here's a filter you can keep forever. If a claim sounds like a lottery ticket, treat it like one. Because here's the truth. The honest version of fasting is useful and modest. The version being sold to you is a miracle. Those are 2 different products. Fasting isn't a moral achievement. It isn't proof of discipline. It isn't a personality. It's a tool. And a tool only works if the right person uses it for the right job. Here's the distinction people constantly blur, and it matters for your safety. There are really 2 different games. The first is regular fasting, the everyday kind. Intermittent fasting, where you eat in a shorter daily window, a 24-hour fast, a 48-hour fast, even longer stretches, up to around 100 hours. The goal is usually structure, fewer calories, or better metabolic health, and most healthy adults can try the shorter versions on their own. The second game is therapeutic fasting. That means going past 5 days or more than 100 hours, usually for a specific medical reason. And this is not a solo project. It needs monitoring, medication review, lab testing, and a planned way to break the fast. The longer you go without food, the faster the risks pile up. Blood pressure drops, electrolyte problems, medication complications. People have done this for a long time, by the way. The USSR studied prolonged fasting in medical settings. France built therapeutic fasting traditions. The US saw it through supervised clinics. But history isn't proof. It's just a reason to study it carefully. The short version? Everyday fasting can be a personal experiment. Extended fasting is a medical situation. Treat them with very different caution. Autophagy might be the most abused word in all of fasting content. It sounds fancy, but the idea is simple. Think of it as your cells taking out the trash. When food gets scarce, cells start recycling their own worn-out, damaged parts to keep running. That's real, and it matters. Your body uses it for normal maintenance and repair. So where's the excitement come from? Animal studies suggest fasting might crank up these repair pathways. Fair enough. That's genuinely interesting. But here's the honest part the internet skips. Most of the strong evidence comes from mice and cells in a dish, not from people living normal lives. There's no home test that lights up and says, autophagy activated. And we don't actually know that longer and longer fasts produce better outcomes in humans. So when a fasting app guarantees you autophagy on a schedule, remember what it's really selling. Certainty the science doesn't have yet. Autophagy is real biology. Most autophagy claims online are marketing. Keep the idea, lose the exaggeration. If you're over 50, this scene matters most, because aging bodies handle missing food differently. Here's the key idea. It's not just how much weight you lose, it's what kind. As you age, you're more vulnerable to sarcopenia, serious muscle loss. And muscle is what protects you from frailty, falls, and slow recovery. Aggressive fasting can quietly speed that loss up, especially if protein drops and strength training disappears. Remember, a smaller body isn't automatically a healthier one. Losing fat while keeping muscle is the goal. There's more to watch too. Dizziness, dehydration, low blood pressure, gallbladder problems, and medications are a big one. Blood pressure pills, diabetes drugs, insulin, diuretics. A dose that was safe with food can turn risky on an empty stomach. This is where simple fasting stops being simple. And if there's any history of an eating disorder, fasting can make it worse. That's serious, not a footnote. So how do you protect yourself? Two things. When you eat, prioritize protein. That's your building material. And do regular strength training. That's the signal to keep the muscle. Together, they help you hold on to it. Now the part almost nobody talks about. The most dangerous moment of a long fast usually isn't the fasting. It's the meal that ends it. It's called refeeding syndrome, and here's the simple version. After a long fast, if you suddenly eat a huge meal, especially a carb-heavy one, your insulin spikes fast. That insulin drives key minerals like phosphate, potassium, and magnesium out of your blood and into your cells. Blood levels crash, and that can trigger dangerous heart rhythm problems, weakness, swelling, confusion, even a real medical emergency. The risk climbs after long fasts, big weight loss, older age, alcohol use disorder, or in anyone medically fragile. So exit gently. During longer fasts, cover the basics: hydration plus sodium, magnesium, and potassium when appropriate, ideally with medical supervision. Then break the fast small, a modest meal, not a feast. Reintroduce food slowly. Skip the giant plate of carbs. Lean on gentle protein and easy to digest foods. The one rule to remember: never end a long fast with a binge. Long fast, small first bite. Let's finish with the mistakes and the fine print. The common mistakes: fasting too aggressively too soon, ignoring protein, stacking heavy exercise on top of an empty tank, forgetting to adjust medications, breaking a long fast with a massive meal, and the sneakiest one, using fasting to cancel out a weekend of overeating. That turns it into a punishment cycle. That's a trap, not health. Safer instead. Build up slowly. Start with a modest eating window. Keep protein high. And for anything past 5 days or 100 hours, get medical supervision. And some people simply shouldn't fast without a doctor's guidance. Anyone pregnant or breastfeeding, anyone underweight or frail, people with diabetes, heart, kidney, or liver conditions, complex medications, or a history of an eating disorder. So here's the real takeaway. Fasting can help. Fasting can also hurt. Use it as a tool, not a belief system. Because the best health strategy isn't the most extreme one, it's the one that works without breaking something else. Don't fast harder. Ask better questions. Your curiosity is the actual tool here.